Are the Niners a rebuild or contenders this season?
I personally think they're in a rebuild, and I think they're in a rebuild because of the state of affairs in the trenches on both sides of the ball.
So here's what worries me about the Niners, is that they lost two defensive players that the staff loved. They loved Greenlaw and they loved Hufanga. They couldn't afford them.
Now the question is, I think, on the other side of the ball, which is, Javon Hargrave left in the offseason. You still got Nick Bosa, but now you're relying heavily on the rookie class.
Out of all the takes I listened to surrounding the 49ers, there is one pivotal piece of information that I do not see people talking about enough when they're factoring in what the expectation is for the San Francisco 49ers heading into this regular season. That story is Robert Saleh back as 49ers defensive coordinator. This is a massive ordeal that people, media, pundits, fans, they're not talking about. Not a whole lot, at least. So had to jump on here. Got to talk about why Robert Saleh is the key piece missing for the 49ers to get back on top of the mountain in a deep run into the playoffs. So with that being said, back at it talking 49ers football. Let's get into it, y'all. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Ryan Tigey, back in action. I'm hearing a lot of things around the clips that I see on the internet, the media pundits giving their takes, and of course, naturally, everything I want to listen to is about the San Francisco 49ers, the NFC West and the San Francisco 49ers. That is the 49ers' goal. Win the West, you get into the playoffs, and we all know how they do when they get into the playoffs. They typically go on a very deep run. Hell, when's the last time you've seen the 49ers get bounced from the first round of the playoffs with Kyle Shanahan? So anyway, nonetheless, as a part of this episode, I wanted to talk about everything is focused on the players. There's a lot of new players. They had a ton of turnover. And yes, that is obviously stating what happened. No one's denying that. It is a fact. But what's not getting factored into all these opinions, all these debate shows, they love to talk about, is Brock Purdy and really a quarterback that can lead him to the Super Bowl? So there's just a lot of outlandish takes. But again, when I look at the 49ers and what I think is going to happen this upcoming season, one thing that just kind of goes on the wayside, or it's kind of an afterthought as all these people are talking about the 49ers and what they can expect them to do this season, is that I think it's being undervalued how important and how much of an impact Robert Saleh back as the 49ers DC is going to make for this team. What was the problem last year for the 49ers when they missed the playoffs? The defense, they weren't good. When we go and just take a look and think back as Robert Saleh in that just insanely good defense the 49ers had back in 2019, you got to remember, Robert Saleh was an assistant coming from the Houston Texans in 2017 when Kyle Shanahan was coming in as a first-time head coach. Kyle Shanahan brought in Robert Saleh as a first-time defensive coordinator. The point of me saying that is it took Robert Saleh 2 seasons to get the 49ers to the number 1 ranked defense in the entire NFL. A brand new defensive coordinator, first time guy, calling plays, taking that lead responsibility. It took him 2 seasons. That is incredible. And then, of course, we all know since the success he had with the San Francisco 49ers, that ultimately is what made him a hot candidate to become a head coach, which he ultimately did. And so when I think back to that 2019 season, the 49ers were first in pass defense. They were second in total defense. They were fourth in sacks. And they were sixth in forced turnovers. Just in 2 seasons as a first-time defensive play caller, he built the team up, ran the scheme, called the correct plays in the correct moments, and had the 49ers defense become a dominant force that nobody wanted to play. If you guys remember, that was the time when the 49ers came up with that record of every time they played a team the following week, they lost. That's when the physicality was at its maximum, and that's when nobody wanted to face the 49ers. So the guy who was leading the charge, because we all know as 49er fans, Kyle Shanahan, which has kind of hurt him the past couple of seasons, he lets his coaches coach. Because he's offensive play caller and the head coach, he focuses, obviously, the vast majority of his time on offense. Now, we've seen where that has hurt the 49ers, i.e. not focusing on special teams when special teams has been a shit show for the past couple of seasons, or really since Kyle's gotten here. But Kyle seems to have fixed that problem with hiring Brant Boyer, who's an absolute weapon. But Robert Saleh is back as the 49ers defensive coordinator. And when you think about where he's coming from to where he's at now, it's night and day. So not only did he get the 49ers defense after 2 seasons up to the very top of the mountain, this is something that hasn't happened for the 49ers organization since 2003. Since 2003, the 49ers haven't had, as an organization, a team where they finished in the top 10 in scoring and in yards. And when did that happen? It happened under Robert Saleh. So when I hear all of these predictions, all of these expectations, again, I just don't believe that people are taking into account how much Robert Saleh can do for this team. And so because the defense isn't as a sexy topic to talk about amongst kind of the mainstream media, the defense just kind of gets thrown to the wayside, and then the coaching of the defense really gets thrown to the wayside. So again, Robert Saleh being the guy back in San Francisco as the defensive coordinator, that is going to be a massive upgrade from what the 49ers, from what we've seen as fans over these past couple of seasons without Robert Saleh. And then you also think about it, Robert Saleh brought the defense to dominance just after 2 seasons. Well, since he's departed and became the Jets head coach, he's had 4 more years to just build his knowledge, build experience, and everybody knows you get better with experience. And Robert Saleh is now back where he belongs in the building. And you got to think about it. Normally when coaches go to different spots, they got to have a lot of adjustments. Everything is new, players, staff, personnel, literally everything is new. The city's new. Well, that's not the case for Robert Saleh. He knows the building, he knows the scheme, he knows the division. He's got a great relationship with the head coach and GM. And more importantly, he knows the pillars players on the defense. None of this is new to him. So when you want to talk about somebody who can come in and make an immediate impact, when does that setup really happen? Where a guy who was an unbelievable coach comes back and reunites that team with pretty much all the main pieces and parts still intact. I can't remember it. And then not even to mention, I don't believe I've ever seen a fan base get this excited for seeing a defensive coordinator get hired. The fans, we love him. And everyone I know is excited that he is back taking charge and running this defense. So again, if he knows the division, he knows the players, he was able to come in as a brand new defensive coordinator in 2017 and within 2 seasons have them ranked at the top of the NFL on the defensive side of the ball. What do you think is going to happen now? Now he doesn't have to come in and have the distractions of what he had to deal with as being a head coach. Everybody sees, we all saw the memes that were out there. A lot of them were actually quite funny. Robert Saleh as a head coach, he lost all his emotion. He was basically a statue on there. He was nowhere near the person that he was on the 49ers sideline like he was when he's defensive coordinator. He didn't have the juice. He didn't have the energy. You could tell he was just stressed out. So now he is bringing 4 more years of experience now coming from a head coach. So he really understands how shit operates and moves inside building as a head coach from probably the biggest market out there. He now gets to remove all of that and get back to what he clearly does best, which I was surprised that he wasn't calling plays in New York, but he gets to come back to a city, a fan base, a team that he's comfortable with and get them back to the mountaintop. And not surprising, he's also getting paid a shit ton of money. He's the highest paid defensive coordinator. So that also shows, hey, we value and we want you back this bad. Hell, I remember during the beginning when they let go of Nick Sorensen or demoted him, there was a lot of good defensive coordinator names out there that everyone, including myself, was hoping the 49ers would pursue because of the fact we didn't know if Robert Saleh was going to get a head coaching job, and then the 49ers could have been shit out of luck. Well, that didn't happen, thankfully. And now the 49ers, they got their guy back, and they're paying him a handsome sum to compensate him for what they know he is worth. So when people talk about predictions and they rarely speak about Robert Saleh and the impact he's going to have, the most common theme I hear is it's the turnover the 49ers had. It's health, which you could say for literally any team. If your superstars can't stay healthy, yeah, your team's probably not going to be good. That's a fact. But people love to talk about the 49ers health, which I get. You can do that with all teams, so it's kind of an easy segment for them to run through. But then they talk about the turnover and all the new players the 49ers have brought into this team. How is Robert Saleh going to be able to handle that? Because the team lost so many studs, and they all noticeably were on the defensive side of the ball, like Dre Greenlaw, like Talanoa Hufanga. The list can go on and on. But that's kind of the common narrative that I'm hearing out there when I see all these clips on the internet. They got a young defense. They got a young team. They don't know how they're going to pan out. Now, everybody loves to speculate how they think a rookie who hasn't played a down in the NFL is going to perform based on college tape. We all know you never know how good or how bad a player is actually going to be until it's 2, 3, 4 years in the NFL. That's what knowledgeable people say. So when they talk about, oh, the 49ers, they're going to be worse than the Seattle Seahawks, like what Colin Cowherd said. In fact, Colin Cowherd said the 49ers are going to turn up in 4th place in the NFC West, which is insane take of him to have.
I think the Rams are going to win it. I thought Seattle had the best draft in the NFL. I thought Arizona and Cleveland had the second best drafts. I don't like what I see with the Niners. I did not like their draft at all. I think when you look at the Niners draft, I see Kyle Shanahan taking some reaches here to help him and not the future. He wants to win now. I didn't like the Niners draft at all.
A lot of it was based on the fact that, yeah, they got a young defense. That was it. Well, again, when you think about all the experience Robert Saleh has and experience he's bringing back to the 49ers and that he had with the 49ers, this ain't his first rodeo. In 2017, the 49ers drafted DJ Jones. We see how he turned out. Got a fat contract with Denver Broncos, and he was an absolute stud for the 49ers under Robert Saleh. In 2018, who was drafted by the 49ers? Rookie linebacker who was actually a safety in college, Fred Warner. And then you look at 2019, I don't know, Nick Bosa, Dre Greenlaw. The point is, this isn't Robert Saleh's first time dealing with young players on the defense. In fact, now he's just dealing with young players, but with a lot more experience to pull from. And so when I hear the young conversation, yes, that is a fact. The 49ers, they could have drafted people that all turn out to be busts, just like every other team. But one thing I can tell you, and something that Robert talked about in his press conference following the draft, was the collaboration that the 49ers had within the building. You don't bring back Robert Saleh to have him not have a voice and an opinion about who the 49ers picked. And they picked 5 defensive players in the first 5 picks of the draft. So these are all guys Robert Saleh had heavy input into. These are his guys. The Mikael Williams, those are his players. So not only are they bringing Robert Saleh back, but they also essentially in a collaborative form let him go get their guys. Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, they understood we need help on the defensive side of the ball. But then, of course, you don't pay top dollar to defensive coordinator, a guy you know and love and have had tremendous success with, and just say, hey, we got it from here. No. So not only has Robert Saleh, have we literally seen the 49ers draft rookie players, turn them into superstars, a la Fred Warner, but we've also seen him come in and show what he can do with the players that the 49ers had. He did it, and he built the 49ers to a top defense. So all of that to be said, Robert Saleh got his guys on defense, even though that's the crux of a lot of people's argument about why they may not be as good is because they got young players. We've seen him do that. But then again, there's not too many opportunities where you can come into a familiar spot with, especially in the NFL, and have all the same pieces and personnel in place, which he does. So when I look at the 49ers this upcoming season being dramatically discounted, the impact Robert Saleh is going to have on the defense. And when you add the defense to what the 49ers have been the past couple of years on offense, good luck out there to the rest of the NFL, because the 49ers, they're bringing back that physical play, and they got a guy who's in the position, who's done it before, had success, and now is only bringing back more experience and more knowledge for the 49ers to get back on track and start to dominate, specifically the NFC West, which I predict they're absolutely going to be the top seed in the NFC West. So, all right, y'all, I just had to jump on here, give my 2 cents. I just see a lot of outlandish takes, and I get it. But again, I think it's just being underreported the impact he's going to have. So, all right, y'all, I'll be back. But until my next video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. Hit me up. Peace.